On a December night in 1991, a quiet strip mall in Austin, Texas, became the scene of one of the most shocking crimes in the city's history. Four teenage girls, full of life, dreams, and innocence, were found brutally murdered inside a small yogurt shop. The fire meant to cover the crime only revealed its horror more vividly. For over 3 decades, the mystery of who killed them has haunted not only their families but also the city itself. This is the story of the yogurt shop murders, Austin's most brutal unsolved crime. The victims were 4 young girls, each with her own personality, dreams, and future waiting ahead. 17-year-old Jennifer Harbison was a high school senior. She was outgoing, bright, and deeply loved by her family. She worked at the I Can't Believe It's yogurt shop alongside her best friend. Her younger sister, Sarah Harbison, was just 15. She looked up to Jennifer, admired her, and was still navigating the world of high school. Eliza Thomas, also 17, was Jennifer's co-worker and close friend. She was quiet, thoughtful, and mature beyond her years. And then there was Amy Ayers. At 13 years old, she was the youngest of the group, a sweet teenager who simply tagged along that night for fun, never imagining the danger she would face. The 4 of them represented what every parent hopes for their children: youth, promise, and friendship. Their lives were cut short in the most unimaginable way. It was Friday, December 6, 1991. That evening, Jennifer and Eliza were working a late shift at the yogurt shop. Sarah and Amy decided to keep them company. The shop was located in a quiet North Austin strip mall, where families often gathered for dessert after dinner. Around 10 p.m., customers came and went. Witnesses later recalled seeing the girls chatting and laughing as they served yogurt, cleaned tables, and prepared to close for the night. At approximately 11 p.m., the shop was scheduled to close. A couple of customers were reportedly the last to leave. They would later tell police everything seemed normal. But sometime between 11 p.m. and midnight, everything changed. At around midnight, smoke was seen rising from the strip mall. Firefighters rushed to the scene and entered the yogurt shop, where flames were spreading fast. As they battled the blaze, they discovered the unthinkable. In the back of the shop, the bodies of the 4 girls were found, stacked together and burned beyond recognition. The fire, intended to destroy evidence, instead revealed the brutality of the crime. Once the flames were extinguished, the horror became clear. The girls had been bound with their own clothing. They were shot in the head, execution style. At least one of them showed signs of sexual assault. The brutality shocked even the most seasoned investigators. Austin police officers, firefighters, and medical examiners described it as one of the worst crime scenes they had ever encountered. Parents who had gone to bed believing their children were safe were awoken to a nightmare that would never end. From the very beginning, the yogurt shop murders confounded investigators. The fire had destroyed much of the physical evidence. The heat and smoke obliterated fingerprints, DNA, and any potential clues that might have identified the killers. Detectives faced an enormous challenge. Who would commit such a crime? Why these girls? And how did it all unfold so quickly? The working theory was that the girls were closing up for the night when one or more men entered the store. It could have been a robbery gone wrong. But as the evidence showed, the level of violence suggested much more than just theft. Robbery alone couldn't explain the sexual assault, the binding, and the execution-style killings. In the years that followed, the investigation turned in many directions. At one point, police focused on 4 young men: Robert Springsteen, Michael Scott, Maurice Pierce, and Forrest Welburn. Pierce, who was 16 at the time, was caught with a gun that was the same caliber as the murder weapon. Through lengthy interrogations, police obtained confessions from Scott and Springsteen. But there was a problem. Their stories didn't align. Details conflicted, and critics argued that the confessions had been coerced under pressure. Nevertheless, Springsteen and Scott were convicted in the early 2000s. But years later, advances in DNA testing changed everything. DNA found at the crime scene did not match either man or any of the suspects. Their convictions were overturned. After spending years behind bars, they were released. The case, once thought solved, was back to square one. The yogurt shop murders sent shockwaves through Austin. In the early 1990s, Austin was still known as a safe, family-oriented city. The brutality of the crime shattered that sense of security. Parents warned their children to stay home at night. Businesses closed earlier. Strangers looked at each other with suspicion. The media covered every development, every arrest, every court appearance. The names of the victims became etched into the city's memory. The crime also became a source of debate over police tactics, the reliability of confessions, and the use of forensic evidence. Were innocent men nearly sent to death row? Or did the right suspects slip through the cracks because of flawed investigations? To this day, the biggest question remains unanswered. Who killed the girls? The DNA evidence belongs to an unknown male. Despite countless tests against national databases, no match has ever been found. There are lingering theories. Some believe it was the work of a random drifter passing through town. Others point to organized crime or a group of men targeting the shop. But without definitive evidence, every theory remains speculation. The families of the victims have endured decades of waiting, hoping for closure that never comes. Parents who once appeared at every court hearing have aged while still carrying the unbearable weight of loss. The yogurt shop murders stand as one of the most haunting unsolved crimes in Texas history. 4 young lives stolen in an instant. A community scarred by violence, and a justice system still searching for answers. Every year, people in Austin remember Jennifer, Sarah, Eliza, and Amy. They were more than victims of a crime. They were daughters, sisters, and friends. The case is still officially open. Advances in DNA technology offer hope that someday the unknown killer, or killers, may finally be identified. But as time passes, the chances grow thinner. And so we are left with questions. Who were the men who entered the yogurt shop on December 6, 1991? Why did they commit such an unspeakable act? And what kind of justice can truly heal wounds that have lasted for over 3 decades? For now, the answers remain locked in silence. But the memory of the 4 girls ensures that Austin and the world will never forget.